Welcome back to your live continuing Toy Fair coverage, the official Toy Fair 2015 coverage on BeTerrific. We're doing it with the Toy Industry Association. We couldn't be prouder of that, more happy, more excited. It is unbelievable here at the Jacob K. Javits Center. Everywhere you walk, every single inch of this entire facility has toys. One toy after the next, you go, wow, 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 wow. Unbelievable. One of the big things, though, is toy safety. Every toy has to be safe for every child to play with, and that's a big, big undertaking. Joan Lawrence is here from the TIA, Toy Industry Association, to talk to us about toy safety, what that entails, what that takes, what you go through to make sure the toys are safe. First of all, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited. Tell me what it takes to make sure that these toys are safe. It seems to me like it's so nuanced. There's so much that can go into it. Can they break? If they break, will they break apart sharp? Obviously, is there like any kind of hazardous material in these toys? All sorts of stuff that you could go into. Is it for a 2-year-old? Is it a choking hazard? Is it for a 5-year-old? How about a 15-year-old? Walk me through what goes into these toys and what do you do?
Well, you're right. It is pretty complicated because you do have to think about the various ages of a kid who might play with the toy. So we have really strict standards here in the US that cover all those kinds of things. They cover mechanical hazards. Is it going to break? Is it going to withstand a 6-year-old dropping it off the kitchen table? Those kinds of things. Small parts. What substances are used in the plastic or the other materials? All those kinds of things are built into our safety standards.
I always think about like a train. It has wheels. It's got an axle. That axle's like a pin. Somehow, my little guy, he breaks that apart. He's now got that pin. Maybe he's going to choke on it. Maybe he's going to attack the dog with it. Maybe he's going to poke himself with it. And then I think of that scene in The Christmas Story, you're going to shoot an eye out. So you have to be very careful. How are you able to think of all of these things when you see, okay, this is a car or this is a whatever it is?
Well, it is hard to predict what a kid might do because, boy, they seem to come up with new uses for toys that no adult ever imagined all the time.
Do you ever put a toy in the microwave and go, will it, like a kid might do that, will it melt, will it explode? I mean, do you ever do something like that? How do you test these things?
We don't typically subject it to that kind of test, but yeah, we do put it through some rigors. We drop test things over and over again. We see what happens when, you throw it, those kinds of things. And depending on what age the toy is intended, it's subject to different requirements.
Who sets the age? Is it the Toy Industry Association or is it the manufacturer or is it both? Is it like you guys said it's for 3 and up, maybe it should be for 5 and up?
It's the age on the product is set by the manufacturer, but it's based on the standards. So the standards are put together by industry and government and consumer organizations, pediatricians, developmental experts, all contribute to writing what the age grades should be and what's appropriate for different ages.
My head is spinning right now. But you must have a lot of fun getting to break these toys apart too, or at least trying.
Well, we do get to play with a lot of toys, yes, and put them through some stress.
What's the most fun you've had or like the craziest thing you've done to try and destroy a toy?
Oh, just this week we were talking about what would happen if you dropped it out of a 3rd-story window. Now, that's not one of our official tests, but we're all curious. I mean, sure. I think David Letterman started that.
Absolutely.
What happens when you drop it out of a 3rd-story window?
Letterman had a lot of fun with all that stuff, yeah.
And we tend to have to think like a kid. I mean, we're adults, we come at it with an adult frame of mind. But you have to remember that kids don't have any of the noise in their brains that we do.
Are there any toys that it's just like self-explanatory? Like, I mean, they're like wiffle ball bats, right? That's a toy. I mean, yeah, if you hit somebody with a wiffle ball bat, it's gonna hurt. Yeah. But there's not, I mean, is there, like, you're not gonna test it for hitting somebody with a wiffle ball bat.
That's right, and so we can't address every hazard, every way a toy might be misused in the standards. Some of that's gonna happen, and we just have to hope that parents help their kids know how to play with the toy the right way. A wiffle ball bat's still going to hurt.
Well, and it's got to, the parents have to take some responsibility in teaching their children how to properly use it. I mean, you got to hand your kid a bat and tell them not to hit anybody or anything or any animal with it. You can't just say, here's a bat and, go for it.
That's right, and we can make toys as safe as they possibly can be and compliant with all standards. But if there's not good supervision or showing a kid what the right way to play, there's still some responsibility there.
Do you ever test them on the kids? Do you ever have kids that come in and you say, like, you play with this now? Or you ever say, like, hey, I mean, you can't really test them on kids.
We don't officially test them for safety that way, but we are able to observe kids playing with them and see what they tend to do. How do they creatively use it? Are there ways we need to be looking at it
If you ever
differently?
need anything broken, I'm your guy. Seriously, if you want to test, I'll do it for you.
Well, we'll keep that in mind.
Yeah, I would love to. It seems like such a fun job. First of all, you get to play with everything. And second of all, you get to try and break everything.
Yeah, and it's actually a year-round thing. I mean, Toy Fair's here in New York this week, and it's exciting, and everybody's here to show their new products, but it's something that we work on year-round.
What's the process? I mean, does it take a long time to do this? If I say, here's my toy, here it is, whatever it is, you guys have to approve it. What's the process? How long's the wait?
Well, you have to have it tested by a third-party lab, an independent laboratory that's accredited by the federal government. And so in order to sell to a retailer and to get your product into a store in front of kids, you have to have gone through that testing.
But I mean, how long, like if the product got to the TIA, here it is, it's this is my business card, right? This is the product though. How long, you've got it, how long does it take to test this?
We don't do the testing.
Oh,
It's
you
done by
don't?
an independent
I
testing
thought,
lab.
okay, I thought you guys did some testing
No,
in Washington and DC.
We help write the standards.
Okay.
And so one of the things I do is I chair the U.S. standard that's a federal law
Got
for
it.
toy safety.
Oh, very cool. Very
And in
cool.
there are the test requirements, and then you have to take your toy to an outside lab to get them tested.
So what about, like, I mean, bracelets are technically toys, especially some of them, like the way you build them and connect them.
Sure.
I mean, you
whenever
have
they
different
play
things to think
value.
about that. A kid putting that in their mouth a lot, right?
Yeah, and so products like that would be graded so they're not for children under 3 when they have small parts and things
Sure.
like that, or intricate ways to put them together, or tiny parts, all those kinds of things. The more complicated it is, the better it is for an
How
older kid.
important is it for a parent to go, like, I wanted my son to have Legos before he was 18 months old, and the youngest Lego is recommended for, there are certain different levels, 18 months. How important is it to really abide by that, especially with Legos? I mean, they can get small, but when you see it, how important is it to abide by that, or can you say, you know what, I'll let my kid have it if I'm around to monitor them with it?
Yeah, and I'm a parent. I have 3 kids myself.
Yeah.
It is an age-old question. We all think our kid is a little bit smarter than the pack and ready for things before the age says.
Or you
But
have multiple kids, and now the older kid gets this, and how do you keep it away from the younger kids?
That is so important. I think it's the #1 rule that you follow the age grade on a package, because those are put there with safety in mind. It's not so much about my kid's smart or advanced. You really follow it for the safety of the product. That's what it's there for. And you're right, when you have more kids of different ages in a household, it's especially important. I had a 2-year-old, and then I had twins. And so my life went crazy all of a sudden. And I had 2 little babies to keep the little Barbie shoes out of their mouths. So it's really something you have to be vigilant of. I made it work because I enlisted the help of my older child. I told her, these toys are yours and yours alone, and the little babies can't have it. And so she loved that. She loved
Right.
the responsibility.
Oh, that's pretty
and so
cool.
she became an enforcer too.
You know, so I get it. I think my son Jack might have to hide some of his toys before I get home then. From me, we've got a couple that are like, maybe he's 3 and up, and he's got some, because they don't seem to have choking hazards. I don't know. But I think everybody stretches it a little for the most part. But I think you bring up a good point. You shouldn't stretch it.
Yeah, right, because beyond choking hazards, even if it doesn't have a choking hazard, there are other reasons that age is on there. And it could be that it's too complicated for a younger child. And what we have observed is when kids get complicated and frustrated, they tend to misuse a toy, and that's when the trouble happens. That's when a wiffle ball becomes, a stick to hit a friend with. That's when a truck gets hurled across the room. When kids get bored or frustrated with the toy.
That's really interesting and very insightful. I think that really lends itself a lot to parents. It's really important because I really believe in toy safety. And I was kind of kidding a little bit about how, Jack's got to hide his toys. He's good. We pretty much abide by it. But there are 1 or 2 toys that we go, really, does it need to be? But now I know that, and I think it's also important to think, because we didn't necessarily think, oh well, this isn't a choking hazard. We didn't think about the other reasons, and I think that's really important, because you don't want them to get frustrated with the toy either.
Yeah.
And you don't want them to use it as a weapon or in a negative way.
Right, and actually there are over 100 different tests for toy safety, to gauge toy safety, beyond small parts. Small parts is a big one, but there's 99 others. And so there are lots of factors in there and in that age grade.
All right, I can't let you go without telling me what your favorite toy growing up was.
Oh my gosh, I had so many. I like to play with my brothers.
You were a tomboy?
I had 5 brothers and 3 sisters.
Wait, whoa. 5 brothers and 3 sisters?
Oh, did I let that slip out? Sorry.
Hold on a second. I have to get my hands out to count this many. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 brothers.
Yeah.
And 3 sisters.
Yeah, and then
you.
Yeah.
That's 9.
Yeah.
You're a starting lineup for a baseball team.
My father used to tell us that, and we were like our own testing lab.
I
we
could
tested
imagine.
the toys
9.
there at home. Yeah. So I like to play
Where
baseball
were
with
you?
my brothers. I'm near the bottom. I'm one of the youngest
Was that
girl.
hard?
Yeah, because the big kids got to do stuff that we didn't get to do.
Right.
But by the time my parents got to us, they were exhausted, and the rules maybe fell to the wayside a
All
little
right.
bit.
So you would play ball with the boys.
Yeah. So I played ball with the boys. My brothers had super kick. It was a game where you pressed down on the football player's head, and his leg would kick a football across the room.
Wow.
Which was really
So
cool.
that was
one of our
your
favorites.
favorite.
Stretch Armstrong was a favorite.
Wow.
So.
Was there anything like board game wise that you'd get around as a family, like Monopoly or something?
Yeah,
How would you play
Monopoly and
Monopoly with
Twister.
9 people? Could you do it?
You had to take turns.
Yeah. Or team up.
Yeah, or the big kids got to play, and then the little kids could play some other time.
And you said Twister.
Right.
And so can 9 people play Twister?
No, only if you're running 2 boards.
2 boards. Wow.
Yeah,
This is unbelievable. How did you transport the family of 9? Did you have a van or a bus? You guys had a bus?
No, we had a station wagon. It was the 60s
Were you like the
and
Griswolds?
70s. We did once have a Winnebago and made a long trip to Maine, up the coast to Maine.
9 kids.
But there was only that one
God
trip.
bless your parents. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know how they did it. After I had one, I was calling my mother every day, asking her how you get through this.
Yeah, and 9. Wow, very cool. I think those are cool toys that you had a lot of fun with, certainly. I think that's really great. I never even heard of this football toy. I think of it like when I was a kid, we had the batting cage toy. Basically, it was like a wiffle ball machine, and one guy would stand basically as a pitcher, and he'd hit the foot pedal, and it would fire a ball at the batter.
Sure.
And kind of same concept almost. Very
Sounds
cool
fun.
stuff.
We would have been into that.
Yeah, absolutely. 9 people. You fielded your own baseball team. Did you take on other families of 9?
No, but we had lots of friends who were from big families. We were not considered unusual. There were 7s and 8s and a family of 13.
Amazing.
That we knew.
Wow.
I didn't realize it was unusual until I got to college.
Joan Lawrence, thank you so much for joining us from the Toy Industry Association. It's been a lot of fun. You've been excellent. And most of all, it's been educational. And it's really important stuff. Toy safety. Don't let your kids play with toys they're not ready for. Follow those instructions on the box. And, it's there for a reason. So we'll be back with a whole lot more on your live continuing official Toy Fair 2015 coverage on BeTerrific. I'm Michael Artsis. Don't go anywhere. Keep it locked right here. We're back with a whole lot more right after this.